Hello, thank you very much for stopping by the channel. You guys are in for a real solid treat today as I'm going to be talking about the NFC North. Yes, the NFC North, the best division in football, record wise. Record wise. Now, a lot of people uh, think that a team from the NFC North will get to the Super Bowl, which very well could. You know, a lot of people are leaning towards Detroit, but don't count out the Vikings. Don't count out the Packers. Don't count out the Eagles. Also, I know they're not in first place in the NFC West, but they just are. They just won their sixth game. I think they're 6-7. I know they beat the Bears, and the Bears are kind of struggling, and they're at that point where, it's probably not going to be the Bears. Just watch out for the 49ers. The 49ers are a team that is you just don't want to play during the postseason, especially if they can get healthy and full strength. If they get to full strength, which I highly doubt it. I hope it happens. I mean, for their sake anyway. That'll certainly make the playoffs more interesting, you know. But I think right now the NFC North, you just can't. When it comes to the NFL, you just can't talk about one division in the conference. You got to talk about all divisions and all conferences. So at this point, I'd have to say the NFC North is the best division in football. Does that guarantee that they're going to be in the playoffs or be successful in the playoffs? I think obviously the answer to them getting into the playoffs is yes. I mean, Detroit, Minnesota, and Green Bay probably will be one of those three teams in the postseason, unless something crazy happens with Green Bay. But I think that it's definitely going to happen. And I think obviously you just never know with the NFL because even the NFC South, as crazy as it sounds, is how bad they are record wise. You know, NFC East, you just never count out the Eagles and the Commanders. I just don't think the Commanders are going to do anything in the playoffs. Washington, I don't think they're going to. I mean, honestly, for their sake, I hope they do well. But I just don't think once they get to the playoffs that they're gonna have lots of success. I could be wrong, and yeah, and I want to talk about the AFC. Well, the Chiefs right off the bat, they're still the best team, even though they have these close games. Everyone's thinking, well, they're really not gonna do anything when playoffs comes. If they're gonna win these close games, they're just not gonna win these. They're not gonna win in the playoffs. It's like, really, seriously, they're gonna win the play. They win the close games, and so at this point, they will probably be in Super Bowl 59. As much as I probably would have said the Bills, but the way they got exposed against the Rams, just You know, I remember back in '06 when the Colts got exposed against the Jaguars. They also gave up 44 points. They got totally demolished by the Jaguars. Like, Jaguars just ran it at them. They had probably the most yards rushing in history. They just got gashed. But the Colts just find a way to shore things up and made some good adjustments on the defense side of the ball to do enough on defense to win the Super Bowl that year. But I just don't know with that pass defense. I mean, it was it was crazy the receivers that were open. I didn't watch the game, but I just saw the highlights, and there was just 44-42, and they still couldn't win. When your offense puts up 42, and yeah, I mean, like I say, you just never know. Maybe it's a big wake up call to say, okay, we got to play better on defense. So I thought the Bills are playing a little better in defense, but then they played the Rams, and I don't know. Uh, That's what's one thing about the NFL that's awesome is the fact that you just never know with these teams. You just never know. In the AFC um, West, obviously Kansas City is that, or AFC. I was just talking about the AFC East, Buffalo Bills. Let's talk about AFC North. Just never count out the Ravens. But the the Bengals, they beat the Cowboys last night, 27-20, and they keep their slim hopes alive. They just had a lot of injuries, a lot of close games, boy. I mean, every team has an injury. It's just, you have to kind of work through it. And they just haven't had success. I mean, AFC South, you know, obviously Jaguars and Titans. That's maybe not the strongest division in football, the record wise, but the Texans, you never know. I just don't see anybody else other and Pittsburgh, I just don't know. I mean, as much as I like hopefully I'm wrong on them, because I actually don't mind the Steelers. I kind of like the Steelers, but I just, but the Ravens, I mean, I tell you what, they're a dangerous team when postseason comes, and I think they'll be one of those teams that will be the X factor, or well, not the X factor, maybe an X factor, but they'll be pretty good. Yeah, AFC North, Ravens and Steelers out of that division. That Yeah, and AFC East Buffalo, but just at this point I say KC. But never count out San Francisco in the NFC. Or everyone's looking to Detroit, and for their sake, they better do it. This is their year if they want to. You don't get many chances like this, where you're like the Bengals had their chances a couple years ago, like last year and this year. They just you can never really be. There's no guarantees in the NFL, and that's what I like about it. But I want to keep this video not that long and keep it brief. Thank you very much for watching/listening.